Hello. Welcome on back to my channel. As you can probably see from my makeup today, I'm really looking to do something quite dramatic. Luckily for us, our model, our canvas, so to speak, is somebody who probably rocks makeup better than anybody else I know. He's not just a fellow YouTuber to us, but he is the CEO of One Size Beauty, Patrick Starrr. On him, I created this really dramatic, fierce, glittery eye look and paired it with a nude lip. Everything turned out really excellent, in my opinion. So if you want to learn how I created this look right here, then keep on watching. So to begin, I'm prepping the skin using the Laura Mercier Infusion de Rose Moisturizing Glow Mask and applying this on using a beauty blender. If you've been with me for a little while now, you've seen me use this at least a dozen times to prep the skin with. Yes, it's intended to be just a face mask, but I love the way makeup sits on it and gives the skin a drink of hydration. Here I'm applying on the first shade of foundation, which is from Kryolan. It's called the TV Paint Stick. It's a very full coverage foundation, and I'm applying this on directly onto Patrick's skin from the container because it's his personal foundation, so we're remaining sanitary. I know he uses it quite often, and it's been a minute since I've used it, so I figured what better day than today. As you see here, I've applied a lighter shade in the center of the face, and I'm using a deeper and warmer shade along the perimeter before blending it together with the Beauty Blender. Now, this isn't a foundation you're gonna find in your nearest Sephora or Ulta. I know you can get it online. There's a website called Camera Cosmetics or Camera Ready Cosmetics or something like that. I'll link it down below. But for those of you who don't know, Kryolan is it's a brand that isn't so mainstream amongst the everyday makeup consumer. Their products are more commonly used by pro makeup artists for TV and film and so on and so forth. So like I said, it can be a little tricky finding their products, but it's well worth it. They're quality products. But as for this blend, you'll notice I'm really working my sponge into this because it is a full coverage cream. So the consistency of it is thicker, which means it takes a little more like elbow grease. Is that how you say it? Like a little more elbow grease than it does to blend out a standard liquid foundation. Once I have that blended out for the most part, I'm gonna apply a tad more to the under eye area, center of the forehead and chin before heading over to the concealer. For concealer, I'm using the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer in the shade SX04 and applying this to the under eye area directly on top of that foundation before blending it up and out. Now, today we're applying a lot of product, a lot of foundation, a lot of concealer, a lot of powder, and we still have to contour. But I mention this because heavy makeup is not for everyone, and it doesn't look good on everyone either. I know for myself, if I were to wear this much makeup, my face would feel so dragged down. My cheekbones would be touching my ankles practically. My skin just can't handle it, which is why I envy people like Patrick whose face can really handle a lot of makeup. I mean, obviously, he's beautiful without any of this. His skin, as we saw, is flawless, but as he says best, his skin is porous. It just eats up makeup, which is music to my ears when a client or model tells me that because it gives me full liberty to pack on the glam. It's art to me. I live for it. So if you love that full coverage fantasy as well, you gotta check out and subscribe to his channel if you aren't already, of course. I'll link it down below. The way he does his makeup is just stunning. Anyways, as you see here, I'm contouring the face using another TV paint stick from Kryolan in a deeper shade, of course, applying it on with a blush brush underneath the cheekbone, the jawline, the perimeter of the forehead, and sides of the nose, before also blending it out once more with my beauty blender. Alrighty, so now that we have everything blended seamlessly, I'm going to use the One Size Ultimate Blurring and Setting Powder in the shade Translucent to set the makeup into place. I'm starting with the under eye area and lids first because that area is usually first to crease. And I'm not going in with a whole lot of powder right now. Trust me, that will change in a minute. But for the under eyes, I enjoy setting it lightly first with the powder, and then I'll go in later to bake that area after I've set the rest of the face. And as you see here, the powder completely mattifies that area and creates that blur effect, which makes sense considering that's what the product claims. I've been using this in almost every tutorial ever since the powder was released. It's just an easy product. I'm trying to think of a more elaborate word to use other than easy, but it's just easy. I know it's going to perform. It looks beautiful on everyone, and it doesn't disappoint. You know what it is? Powder, to me, is not something I switch out very often in my makeup kit. It's not like a lipstick or an eyeshadow palette where we switch them out depending on what mood we're in. Setting powder is much like a mascara or foundation. Once you find that one that works for you, why change it? Why try to fix something that's not broken? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm gonna finish this up and then we're gonna move on to the next step. Okay, so now with the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Pressed Powder in the shade Y515, I'm running a little of this along the skin for an extra touch of color. This is another product I'm crazy about. If you're in the market to try out a new pressed powder foundation, these are so good. To reinforce the contour we created earlier with the creams, I'm using the Hoola Caramel Bronzer from Benefit and applying this along the perimeter of the forehead, cheekbones, jawline, and nose to bring our contour back to life. Sometimes after all the blending and the setting with powders, the contour can lose its punch, you know? Especially under bright studio lights, it's hard to pick up on camera, so I'm relying on this to bring back a little warmth to the face. Heading back to our setting powder, I'm going to heavily place this to the under eye area, jawline, and the center of the forehead and nose to begin the baking process. If you're watching and not quite familiar yet with baking, this process allows for the makeup to be really locked into place and to add a bit of brightness to those areas. It also really helps sharpen the contours that we created. To begin the eye makeup, I'm dipping into our Benefit bronzer to add a wash of color to the upper lid, which will act as a backdrop for the shadows we use next. The palette I'm using today is the Alyssa Edwards eyeshadow palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm really only using two shades from this, which is a brown eyeshadow and a black eyeshadow. The brown shadow I'm running through the crease to begin creating the shape that I want, which I'll further emphasize next with eyeliner. The liner that I end up using is this black gel liner from Inglot, and I'm placing this right in the area I want to create a crease. Patrick's crease is naturally a little lower, but I want to create the illusion of more lid space for this look. So I'm running this through the crease, placing it on the outer corner of the eye, and then running it along the lash line. Mind you, this doesn't have to be perfect or anything close to perfect because I do end up blending this all out anyways. To blend it out, I'm just taking a clean eyeshadow brush and buffing out this liner to begin creating a really diffused look. And then little by little, I'll start incorporating a black eyeshadow to set that liner into place. Of course, you can just skip this whole liner part and only use a black eyeshadow, but the reason I'm using this technique is for a couple of reasons, really. The first being that this gel liner as a base will give us the deepest black shade, way darker than if you were to use a shadow alone. And then also, it acts as a base for the shadow to grip onto. You'll notice here that there's absolutely no fallout, and that's because that gel liner base assures that the eyeshadow has something to stick to, thus less fallout. Now here, I'm running that gel liner through the waterline before buffing it out with the black eyeshadow. Most of you know by now my weakness for a smoky eye, and Patrick has such a gorgeous eye shape to begin with. I just wanted to play on that and accentuate it by dragging in that inner corner and lifting up the outer corner. With the same concealer I used for the under eyes earlier, I'm using this to create a cut crease. This is why I was saying a minute ago that the gel liner didn't have to be too perfect. By the time we blend it out and create a cut crease with the concealer, it all comes together. Next, with this copper Starlit powder from Makeup Forever, I'm applying this on with a flat brush to the same area I had applied that concealer, which will be the start to this gold copper eye look. I love black and gold together, which is why I was really excited to create this look today. It's a fun mix of both glamour and edginess. Next, I'm using this one size eye popper in the shade Everything and More to place directly on top of that copper pigment. Not only will this give us some sparkle, but it's going to be the base that the glitter I use next sticks to. This gold glitter I'm using now is the one I got from a craft store. It's chunky, it's reflective, and it's going to look so good once we have this eye look completed. With the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder in the shade 2, I'm going to dust away the powder we let sit underneath the eyes to bake. And then with the one size Point Made liquid eyeliner pen, I'm going to run this along the upper lash line. And this makes it look a little cleaner. I know we used a gel earlier, but with the eyeshadows and glitter and all, I wanted to clean up the lash line before applying the lashes, which are the style Come Through, also by one size, and these really made all the difference. Next, for brows, I'm using the Brow Wiz by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm beginning my placement of this in the front of the brow using a light hand before applying more pressure as I travel closer to the end of the brow. With more pressure, I'll get more product payoff, and I'm using this in the shade Ebony because we're going to end up using a dark wig on Patrick today for the outro shot, so this shade just matches the wig the best. To save a bit of time, I'm completing the other eye and brow off camera, and then with this lip pencil from KKW Beauty in the shade Nude 2, I'm having Patrick line his lips. And then with this lipstick from MAC in the shade Peach Stock, I'm filling in the lip color. This is a lipstick I used to use all the time back in the day for a nude lip. I don't really know why I stopped using it. It's a great color that has the perfect amount of peach undertone to it. And once I filled in the lip color, I'm gonna head back to that KKW liner to shade in the borders of the lips to create an ombre effect. And lastly, I'm applying this clear gloss from MAC to get a high shine finish. I say it all the time, but I love a clear gloss for this reason. We can get a lot of shine without having to compromise the original color from the lipstick and lip liner we used. But this is officially the last step in creating this dramatic makeup look on the natural beauty Patrick Starrr.
There we have it, kids. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out more of my work on my Instagram at PAINTEDBYSPENCER. And until next time, I'll see you soon.